right, he looked great.
Put like coach or something.
Okay.
Yeah, coach. Yeah.
Oh, coach.
That's Dan.
How are you? Great to see you. How are you?
Good evening. Thank you, Coach Morrison, Coach Glide, everybody that's here. I want to say this is a wonderful opportunity for us at San Jose State to have a chance to bring you back to your university and our opportunity to honor Darnell and his family. President Mo Kiyomi could not be here tonight. He asked me to extend his well wishes to you, Darnell, your family, to all the coaches and alumni and former players that are here, to Berger Lewis for what you've done, to those men that wrote me that wonderful letter 2 years ago that asked me to consider doing something special for a very special man. And I would tell you it is an honor to have you here, sir. Thank you, Mr. Hillman, for being a part of what we're doing. Really what I want to say is San Jose State University is in the building process again of building forward a culture where student athletes perform great in the arena and great in the classroom and great in the community. And we relive the moments of this community in this time when in 1969 and 1970, this basketball program, these coaches, these players, and these people here represented the best of San Jose State University. I am honored to be your athletic director, and I'm more honored to be here tonight. I was 9 years old when I saw you play, and I'm going to tell you, I remember every moment of that. Thank you. Go Spartans.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Darnell's varsity coach, Danny Glines.
This one? Okay, all right. Darnell, I've got a story to tell about you that you don't know what's coming. It was either 1978 or 79. My family and I were living in Montana, where I still go for 4.5 months. And I got a phone call from Bob Knight, and he said, I'm coming back up, as he can do it. I'm coming back to Montana to go fishing, and I'm going to bring John Havlicek with me, and he wants to catch some fish, and you better teach him how to do that, see? And he better catch some fish. So they came up there, and I took John and his wife Beth down the river, and Bob went with a friend of mine there. And when you float fish up there, you go up to where you put in, you float and fish for about 3.5 hours. You stop and have lunch, and then you go for another 3.5 hours. So I had instructed John on what was going to happen and what he was going to do. We float down, and he's catching fish, and we stop at lunchtime. And I casually mentioned then, I'm so busy during the float trip telling him where to throw the fly and how to throw the fly, and that I didn't say anything to him. But at lunchtime, I casually kind of said to him, John, you may remember a young man that I coached at San Jose State, Darnell Hillman, and he eyes opened up and he got big, and he said, let me tell you a story about Darnell Hillman. He said, I am one of maybe 2 or 3 players in the NBA who never had his shot blocked by Darnell Hillman. And he went on, he said, when I was playing with the Celtics, he swatted everyone on my team. He swatted the ball back, and he did it to him about 3 or 4 times, some of them. But at any rate, you came back, and remember when you went to the Hall of Fame? And you said, I was talking to you, I said, guided John, and he said, you confirmed it, but I wanted to let you know that when I talked to him, and that one of his proudest things was that you didn't get to his basketball shot.
I want to just take a couple of minutes to say a few things. Dr. King taught us to believe in and to persist in and struggle for our dreams. One of the things that sports taught us is to learn to dream with our eyes open. One of the first conversations that I had with an athlete where I left and really believed that he understood what it meant to dream with your eyes open, to be aware of what's going on around you, to understand what the liabilities as well as the opportunities are, was Darnell Hillman. I'll never forget a conversation that I had him sitting there looking at very few people I ever had to look up to, but I looked up to him. And we talked about books, and we talked about study, and we talked about what you can get out of sports and what sports owes you as a result of what you put into it. I was very impressed by the young man. I've heard some names up here that I'm very good friends with. Bob Knight and I have been exchanging letters and telephone calls for the last 30 years. Bill Russell, I do the rookie symposiums for the NBA for the last 12 years or so. And in those times when we're just sitting around, we'll be talking about talking basketball. And on a couple of occasions, Darnell's name has come up, and I remember Bill Russell telling me once, he said, there are leapers, and then there are basketball players who can leap. And that was the way that he described Darnell.
Read a terrific letter to you. Dear Darnell, on behalf of the Indiana Pacers basketball organization, I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate you on the honor being bestowed upon you at your alma mater this weekend. Retirement of number 45 at San Jose State University. This is a well-deserved honor, Darnell, and we here at the Indiana Pacers are very proud to have had you on our team on the court and now as a member of our team off the court. Your hard work and dedication has continued through the years, and we have benefited greatly from that dedication. I hope that your weekend back home in California is one filled with renewed friendships and great memories. Congratulations, Darnell. We wish you all our best. Sincerely, Larry Bird. Outside the hotel today, and he was talking about Bill Walton. Bill has become a very close friend, one of the most giving, gracious people I've ever seen, one of the greatest players in the history of the game, and somebody who was crippled so many times it's crazy. But in a phone call with him on January 14th of this year, Bill had played with Darnell and the U.S. All-Stars, was it the military team? On a tour throughout Europe. And here's what he said. Darnell was a dynamic, high-flying basketball player before Dr. J and David Thompson. He honed his spectacular dunks at our practices, mostly off my forehead. Darnell's creative spirit on the court is far exceeded by his contributions off the court. He was a mentor and helped teach me the lessons of life. We remain good friends to this day. We all love Darnell Hillman.
Setting all
Pretty
of
good.
this when I arrived at San Jose State, and let me tell you why I chose this school. I had 29 scholarship offers, and I visited a few campuses, and we all know the business of collegiate athletes. This was the only school that didn't promise me anything, that didn't give me a single dime. The man right here told me I had to work, I had to bust my butt to get it. And I truly appreciated that, because everywhere else I went, a little bit under the table here, see how nice it is over there. But when I came to this campus, I saw the best of the city, and I saw the worst of the city. So right there, I understood and knew what I was faced with, what I could handle and what I couldn't. Nothing hidden from me, so it would be no surprise to me. I stepped on the campus, and You've heard from one gentleman tonight. The other one may not speak tonight, but I certainly want him to get the recognition as well, because these two set how I presented myself on the campus. But I met a gentleman by the name of S.T. Saffel on the campus. Now, Saffel, cool, laid back, easygoing. Everybody knew him, everybody liked him, and everybody respected him. And I like how he was able to stand by himself and stand tall. Watching him walk through the campus, understanding what's going on around school at that time, because tumultuous times, a lot of different things going on, and me as a youngster just coming here, bright-eyed, unassuming to anything, something happened on the campus, and a gentleman approached me, and you heard him speak earlier, Harry Edwards. Harry, I have to thank you because you gave me my conscious awareness for life, for life. We had two athletes that lost their scholarships. Harry had approached me to come and join and be a part of this. My father had always taught me, never walk in another man's footprints. You see footsteps in the snow, you don't follow those footsteps. You never know where they're leading. He may lead you right off to a cliff, and you're going to follow that. So when Harry approached me, I had to explain to Harry, and it wasn't easy to do. It was not easy to do, that I was here for an education first, to play basketball. I was not here to make a statement. He respected me enough, stepped back, didn't say anything nasty or harsh. He said, not a problem. If you have any problems on campus, look me up. Come and see me. Leaving the service, how did I get drafted? Because now I'm playing ball, I'm traveling around the world, I'm really in a different mindset. We're coming from Petaluma, up near Santa Rosa, from practice. Coach sitting, not the coach, one of the captains sitting on the bus. I believe it may have been Art Wilmore, captain on the bus. He's reading the newspaper. Darnell, you've been drafted again. What? Said, you've been drafted. I said, man, they can't draft me. I'm already sitting on the bus here doing time for the man. What are you talking about drafting me again? And he fell out laughing. He said, no, you've been drafted by the ABA. Well, at that time, the ABA wasn't that real big out here on the West Coast, so I hadn't really heard of it because I was doing time for the man. So he explained to me what the ABA was. Several weeks later, I get a phone call from Indiana. While I'm in the service, I get a chance to go out and meet the team. I go out there, they're in the middle of the playoffs, they're playing Utah. I meet the players, I meet the coach. Kind of like it. But it was so doggone cold there. I didn't know whether or not I could stay. So I came back. Now I still have time to do in the service. Find out that the NBA's draft is going to be about 3 weeks behind the ABA's draft. So I called back to Indiana and I asked them if they would wait, because they immediately started negotiating, if they would wait for the NBA draft. And they said, not a problem. They were very gentlemanlike about it. And we'll wait for the NBA draft and we'll be back in touch. When the NBA had their draft, contacted by Golden State, all I asked Golden State to do, just match the contract. And I'd probably sign with Golden State. They said give them 24 hours and they get back to me. 36 hours later, I called John Chavis. Let's get on the plane, John, we got to go. Now, John Chavis was an alumni here. John didn't want a single dime from me, but he represented me in my first contract. And I've never been more blessed and thankful for that time, because out of that, I got back-to-back championships rings. And you can take a lot of things away from athletes, But the one thing you can't take from them is when they become a champion, you can never take that from them. You can't. It's in the books. More importantly, it's in the hearts of him and all of the fans that were there at that game. And he will always be remembered as that, as a champion. That's what I took away from that. Now, I have to tell the story because I want to back up and come back to San Jose. I'm on the track field. I was a 6'6" high jumper when I came from Hiram Johnson to San Jose. I'm on the track field. I got the bar set at 6 foot, and I'm working on my technique and form. Now, any of you that know John Carlos, you know the kind of individual that he is. Probably the most gifted athlete to walk the planet. Just tremendous ability. John did not like boundaries set. He did not care for a lot of structure. He was disciplined enough that he would get the job done, but he was going to challenge and push the envelope every step of the way. Now, I got the bar set at 6 foot. I'm jumping over the bar. John comes down the track, makes the curve, looks at me, veers off the track, runs over to the high jump pit, and asks me, "What are you doing?" So I tell him, "Well, I'm doing the same thing you're doing, Carlos. I'm practicing out here just like you." He walks over and he knocks that bar off the poles. Then he walks up to me and he grabs me by my shirt. Now I'm 6'9". Carlos was about 6'4", about 240. I might have been 210, 215 maybe. As a freshman though, you know, we're young, we got all this energy, and hey, nobody lays their hands on me like this. So I'm wrestling like mad, trying to get my chest out of his grip. And when I finally get it loose from him, I size him up, and I look up and down like he's short. And I think to myself, well, now, you know, this is a senior. You new here. I don't know if you really want to bite off more than you can chew, so you learn to pick and choose your battles. So I humbly said, "Well, Mr. Carlos, what would you like me to do?" Raise the bar to 7 foot, and you jump at that height all week long. I better not see this bar lower than 7 foot, or I'll come back down in this pit, and I'll beat your butt all over this track field. He raises his side. It's at 7 foot. All week long, I'm knocking this bar down. I got enough height to clear it, but I can't get that trailing leg over, as you saw in probably some of those clips there. The end of that week, we have our first track meet. Bar goes up to 7 foot. Of course, now the paper here reads 6'11" and a half, but folks, in my mind, when they raised that bar up to 7 foot and measured it, it said 7 foot. When I jumped over the bar and it's still up on the pole, it's 7 foot. Well, they come back for a second measurement and say 6'11" and a half, but I'm not taking that. It was 7 foot. As quick as I land in the pit, I'm up because I got it. I understand what John was doing. I'm running all over the track trying to find him, and I find him. I couldn't thank him enough. John had taught me the lesson. You set your goals high. You set them high where you have to work for it, but not so high that you will never reach and accomplish it, but you will have to work your tail off to get there. And as you're working for it, you're going to improve and become a better individual all along the way. And that I have to thank for John Carlos. But this, by far, exceeds any and everything that I've accomplished. This goes very, very high on my accomplishment list. First of all was the birth of my son. Second of all, getting the ability to come to school. Winning the NBA Slam Dunk Championship, winning back-to-back championships for the ABA. Not a long list, but the things that I've accomplished on it and the people that have been there with me, I owe it all to them, or as much of it to them, because they were the inspiration for me. They inspired me to do and accomplish and try not to fail them in any way possible. It has been a tremendous time, a tremendous journey, a tremendous walk for myself. And I can't begin to thank you all for the time that you've taken to come down here and say these things about me, because it's overwhelming, and I'm totally surprised. But I'm very humbled by it, and I'm very grateful for the honor.
Presenting him with a framed replica of his San Jose State number 45, Athletics Director Tom Bowen. Ladies and gentlemen, here this weekend from Indianapolis to celebrate his days as a Spartan, number 45, Darnell Hillman.
First of all, let me tell you, it's great to be home. Great to be back in San Jose. Thank you to faculty, players, Brooks Club, anyone responsible for this happening. You have no idea how this makes me feel. It's been a long journey, a journey that's taken me quite a few places around the world. And I will tell you, I've seen some places around the world, but certainly, this is number one. To my teammates that I've played with over the years that have come out tonight to support me with this, you have no idea what it means that you found the time to take out of your busy life to come and share this with me. So this goes for all of us. And to you, Dan Morris, the gentleman that made this start happen, anything that I can do to you, you call. I'll do that. I really thank you very much.
We now unveil the retired number 45 of Darnell Hillman.